Hey friends, welcome back to Createful Art. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a lovely coastal scene with a little lighthouse. Thank you so much for watching with me today. If you want to learn how to paint, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it so you're notified when I share another video. Let's get started. For this first step, I'm going to start out by sketching my composition here. I'm going to use my reference photo that I took, and I'm also going to use this Liquitex paint, acrylic paint marker. And I'm just going to kind of take what I see here. This is just going to help me know how big things are. So if you click right here, you can go ahead and get this reference photo. All Createful Art members get reference photos to help them paint along with me. So it's just a rough sketch. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to kind of give you an idea of where things are at. Okay. So the next step is to start with the sky, and you need to get your palette out for that. And I'm just going to be using a plate for my palette today. This is bronze yellow, this is bronze, silver, black, dioxide purple, brilliant blue, emerald green, and cadmium yellow. And then I have over here my mixing plate, which has my white. So for this background, I'm basically going to just take my white, and I'm going to put my white down first so that when I put my blue over it, it's going to leave streaks and it's going to lighten it. So I'm going to start here at the bottom and just be really loose with this. The bottom is where it's going to be the lightest, and so I'm just going to spread that paint on there like that. And it's okay if you go over these lines as long as you can kind of see where your lines are at. Okay, and I'm going to do some color matching this time. So I'm going to look on here and I can see that I have brilliant blue, and I'm going to mix my brilliant blue, and then that doesn't quite match that color, so I'm going to add some purple. Okay, I'm going to look again and see if that matches. Add a little more purple. Okay, that's the color I'm going for. So I'm going to go ahead and add that through here, the streaks that I see. And this painting I am trying to kind of follow along my picture as much as possible. Okay, and then I'm going to take my white, add that to my brush, and just come in here and add a little bit of a lighter blue. Let me grab a paper towel. Sometimes I like to take off the paint on my brush and not really wash it. That leaves just a little bit of the color on there. And I'm just gonna come in here and go in between those streaks of blue. Okay. And add that white right here. Okay, and then I can kind of spread it over and it'll lighten that blue and make it look like it's a cloud. Okay, now there's gray clouds out here in the distance, and so I'm just going to grab my silver and go over that just very lightly. It goes behind the lighthouse there, and then over here. Okay, I'm going to take that blue and I'm going to add a little bit of black to it. And this is going to create that middle tone of the sky that I need right through here. Just make sure that it's dark enough that there's a little more contrast in this portion right through here. And I'm going to create some dynamics through there. And then I'm just going to give a little bit of texture of some white through here. Okay, and then you are done with the sky. Okay, so next is the little bit of ocean that's right here. And it's basically the color of the sky, but just a little bit grayed down. So I'm going to grab some more of my blue, some more of my purple, and I'm going to kind of color match it on its own. And it's just a little bit different than the sky color. So I'm going to lay that down right through here. Go over that line. And I'm going to just fill in this area, but I'm going to go from left to right, filling it in. Add a little bit of white right through here, just because it kind of softens into the sky in the background right there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white right here where it runs into this rock. And along the shoreline. A little too much. Just spread that. Okay. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my brilliant blue and I'm just going to give it another layer and see how bright that is. I'm just going to soften that through here. And it just gives it a little bit of a change in the colors. And just adds a little more interest right through here. Okay, so now I can go on to the sand. So the sand is really easy. I just take my silver and a little bit of my bronze yellow, and I'll mix it over here with a little bit of white, and I get a sand color. Okay, and the sand color isn't really that dark. I'm just gonna add it right here in this spot. It's a little too light, so I'm gonna just grab a little more of my bronze. Okay, and add it to this edge right here. Move it over, and it's just that small little spot right there. Then that color comes down through here on this path. So I'm just gonna add that color just a little bit because the path is mostly covered. It just needs an underlayer of it. So I'm just gonna add that right there. Okay, and then you are ready for the next step. So now we're going to paint this land mass right here. And to do that, I'm going to grab my purple, tone it down a little bit. And then I'm just going to come in here and I'm basically going to cover most of this area and then I'll lighten it on top. So you'll see that it's a little on the purple side again. So I'm going to gray it down a little by adding black. There's going to be a high contrast between these two areas. And this is where I kind of try to follow my picture as much as I can along this edge. This is an effort to be realistic, but you don't have to do it this way. Just kind of showing some realism tips today. And then we have this jagged rock. So, and it's such a small rock that I think I'm going to go down to my smaller brush here, just a small flat. And then I just take this bottom right here, because it's with the ocean, and I just kind of stagger it going side to side like that. And then this through here can just be filled in. Alright, in order to go over this, you're going to need this purple to dry. So go ahead and let that dry, and then we can start on this. Okay, so to separate these two land masses, because this is a heel and then this is a heel going down this direction, we're going to use our bronze, and you can see in the picture that that's how it's separated here as well. So we're just going to take that bronze and put it down here. You just follow it over to this edge, and then there's some bronze that comes over like this, just kind of sinks into that. Okay, and then I keep my brush dirty, and I grab my green and a little bit of my yellow, and you can always earth your colors down, like make them less bright, by adding a little bit of black. It muddies the color or makes it more of an earthy tone. So as you can see, it's more earthy. So I'm just going to take that and add that. And it's still bright to me. It just toned it down a little bit. A little more yellow. Okay, and remember that this purple's still wet, so you just want to go right on the very edge of it and not get into it too much. And then some of that green goes over your bronze, so you can just kind of come in here and take that brush, put it in there like that, so that the two meet together, but they don't like necessarily blend together. You don't want to overuse your brush so that it blends. And then I like to come in here with my black and add some shadow. There's some shadow in here, okay? And that just adds some more interest, and it just darkens the color so that it's a dark green, basically. It's not exactly black. Okay, and there's a lot more through here because this is far back. And then the more black you put on the brush, the more contrast. See how that works? So now I'm just gonna gray down a little bit of the area right through here. It's gonna be grayed down and not screaming out for attention. Okay, I'm going to grab my green, and I'm actually gonna start right over here at this hill, adding a little bit of my bronze. Okay, and now through here there's a lot of textures going on and a lot of light and dark areas. So what I like to do is I like to create my dark areas first and go over the top with my light areas. The reason for that, for this particular painting, is because there's not a whole lot of dark and there's a lot of middle color, and then there's a little bit of white on top. So I would rather create the dark part right through here, okay, where I'm seeing it, and then just go over the top. So I'm adding it right here, along here. I'm not worrying about it being exactly what the picture shows. And the reason why I'm not just making a solid color through here is because it's going to give it some more texture by not having it a solid color. Right through here, while it's continuously drying, I'm just going to add some black straight onto it, because this is the more shadowed part right through here, and move it up through that purple just to give it another layer, because it's a pretty translucent purple. I don't like how translucent it is, so it's still going to be a purple color, it's just going to be less of a purple color. Okay, and then right up through here there's some trees and things, so I'm going to make my brush go like this, in this direction, which is vertical. And I'm just going to add some texture up here, and it's just going to give the appearance of trees. So I'm just hanging a little bit of my brush over the edge. And I'm doing this first because I'm going to go over with green some of the layers through here, and I just don't want to have to worry about coming back in with the trees. So just some texture. And the Oregon coast is just full of forest, and so getting in those trees makes it really look like the Oregon coast. Then take that brush and you're going to add some of the rock down here, and I like to wipe off my brush just a little bit, and I don't want it to be too strong when I add my rocks down here. So I'm just going to go like this, and I'm looking at my reference photo, just adding the rocks where I see them. And even if it's not perfectly what the picture shows, your eyes are going to say, hey, these are rocks, this is a rocky shore. There's a dark little wave that's right over here. Like I said, this painting's, we're going for the realistic look a little more than usual, so I'm just going to make that wave right through here like it shows, and then come through here and make the pattern of waves. Okay, and just having that different color, which I just added some black to the blue, it's going to make it look a little more realistic. And then I'm going to add some white to my brush and add a little white out here too. Okay, and a little bit of white through here. So this is still not dry, but I'm going to come in here anyways, and I'm just going to show you how I'm going to add some texture. Okay, so all the grass is going this direction, so I've twisted my brush to go this direction, and I'm going to come in here with my black and my green, and I'm just going to go over this black right here and bring some of it down and let it be a little bit muddy through here. And it's not going to mix a whole lot. Like, I don't want it to be just one color, so I don't over mix, I don't over blend. Okay, right, and then I come back in here for my light, and because this is such an earthy tone through here, just having the black down and spreading that black is going to make it look like it's supposed to as far as color. Then I grab my yellow just to give it some more of a yellow through here. Okay, grab some of my green. I just put that on the very edge of my brush so that when I add it, it just goes in that one spot. Okay. Alright, and this doesn't have the layer, the top layer on it yet, so we're going to go over this right through here. That was that path, and I kind of feel like it's a little bit darker now that there's values between it. So I'm going to come in here, wipe off my brush a little, add some silver, and just kind of darken it up through here. I'm just avoiding mixing the green in there. Okay. Alright, and then I don't even have to wipe off my brush. I can just let that silver play with the other color. Okay, and then I'm going to come over my path like it's over here and there's grass over my path, and let it come in. Okay, and the same thing over here. There's grass in my path, and it's going to mix and mingle with that black. And just just create the shadow. Okay. Do the same thing right here. Right now you'll see going over the black a little bit more and see how much darker it is where the black is. So I'm just going to come over here, make sure I don't spread that black over too far. Then come through here. Okay, and I'm going towards that greener color. Letting it mix in, because that's the color that's right through here. Alright, so we have basically our first coat on top of our canvas here. I'm going to grab my smaller flat brush for the lighthouse, because technically I guess we have done everything except the lighthouse. And I'm just going to come in here with my gray and fill in those shapes. Then there's this little dark spot. It's kind of like a triangle. Okay, so that yellow and that green that mixed together that's down here, I'm going to bring that up through here. And I'm following where the light is hitting on this ridge here. And this is going to dry darker than what it appears right now. So we'll see if we need to add another layer or what. Okay, I'm going to take that tan again, and I'm just going to come over this a little bit, gray it down a little. Okay, and this right here is actual shape, so I'm going to take my purple and add in the inside of that shape. I'm going to take that green and add a little bit of spots through here, just kind of randomly. It's going to like make it a little more realistic. A little bit of the yellow. Okay, gonna make it come in here a little bit. Alright, and then this has got some yellow flowers in it, and it's got that white of some type of plant. Okay, and I'm going to take my silver and my white, and I'm just going to blotch on top of it. I have to make sure I don't have a lot of water on my brush, because I want it to stick to the very top. Okay, see how that sticks to the top? You're basically just going over the top with random shapes. So you don't need it to be exactly the same. And then right over here, there's that white over the plants. And your colors will always try to mix with the colors underneath unless it's dry. So I kind of wipe off those colors that are trying to mix on top because I'm in a hurry to do this painting. And you don't have to wait for everything to dry. You can still paint. Okay, just remember all this will dry a little bit lighter than what it's going on. Okay. And then I take off all the color on my brush and I just kind of push a little bit of that white around so that it mixes with the underneath color and adds a medium tone. This helps it look a little more realistic. I'll grab some of my black too and push that up in some of these areas that I think it needs some shadow. It's the play with shadow and light that helps us see the shapes that we're seeing. And really what appears white to us is a light, just a light color. It's a light green. Okay, and if you find you have too much of it, you can always just come in here with your black and erase a lot of it. This is just dry brushing because I hardly have any paint on my brush. Looks like my phone's gonna die here pretty soon, so I better hurry it up. Okay, so I'm gonna just take some of this green right through here and dry brush through here, pulling the color over. Okay. I mean, remember how I said, we have this down, but this is just a medium tone and this wasn't actually here, this gray. So I'm just letting some of it show and pulling in that, what was on top of it. And some yellow right through here. Some green pulling down over that spot. Some bronze down through here. And then I can go over the top of this with some silver just to, hey, there's a little bit showing through here. Okay, take some of that dark silver and shadow a little bit through here. I'm gonna splatter a little bit. And the reason why I'm splattering is because I'm playful and because there's flowers in here. And I don't need to be very specific on where they're at. See if I can get it. Ah, that was a big one. That's not what I wanted. And anything that you don't want, it's just super easy to take off. You can just come in here and go burp, I don't want that, you know? So, no big deal. But this just gives the randomness of the flowers. Okay, so for this last step, you can look at your reference photo. You can get as realistic as you want or stay loose, it doesn't matter. It's just a personal preference thing, whether you like that or not. So I'm just gonna go through here and I'm gonna pick out some things that I see needs to be changed as I'm looking at the photo. And what I like to do is I like to take some of the blue too, just to make it a little harmonious. And I find little areas that kind of like, they're not blue, but you could say they were a little blue on the bluer side. And I just add those in. And to me, it just makes it look like everything belongs. To me, this looks good. It looks finished enough. Play with it as much as you want. I want to give a huge thank you to my Createful Art members for making this video possible for us to enjoy. You too can become a Createful Art member. Click this button right over here and you will get benefits as well.